One of the important considerations that we have about these microorganisms, irregardless of what type they are, bacteria, fungi, etc., is how these organisms work or function and where they obtain their food from. So for that reason, these organisms, the microorganisms, are put into one of two categories. We classify these microorganisms as either being heterotrophic or autotrophic. And as you look at your lecture outline that is provided with this class, you'll see that those terms are spelled for you there on the lecture outline. Okay, heterotrophic organisms. What determines whether or not an organism is heterotrophic? Well, one of the things that makes that determination, or the primary thing, is where do these organisms obtain their food or energy from? And in the case of heterotrophic organisms, they obtain their food or energy from an organic source of carbon. Now, what does it mean, an organic source of carbon? Well, we're talking about organisms that are not self-sustaining. So they have to depend upon some other form of life to take that carbon dioxide from the air and make it into an organic compound. Then they are going to break down or decompose that organic material and obtain their carbon from that they need for their growth and development or reproduction of more organisms of the same type. There are several other types of ways that we could talk about heterotrophic organisms, but I think for the purpose of this discussion in this class, we'll just think of heterotrophic as being those which obtain carbon from an organic source, as well as other types of nutrients. Now, of course, carbon is not the only nutrient that these organisms need to live, grow, and reproduce. They need other nutrients such as nitrogen, sulfur, etc., just like higher forms of plant life do. And they are going to obtain these nutrients as well from the breakdown of organic material. So therefore, that fits into our definition of heterotrophic. The other type of organism that exists in the soil, microorganism, could be would be classified as autotrophic. Once again, that is spelled for you in your handout. Autotrophic, a very short definition of that is that these organisms are self-sustaining. Now, what does that term self-sustaining mean? Well, it means they can make their own food. They have the ability to take carbon and other nutrients from inorganic sources, like nitrogen from a nitrate ion or carbon from CO2 in the air. And then from this, they have the ability to take these and manufacture them into the organic components that they need for life, growth, development, and reproduction. So that's the first way in which we classify these organisms as either being heterotrophic or autotrophic. Think of those as being not self-sustaining or having to depend upon another organism to fix that carbon initially, being the heterotrophic, or autotrophic, self-sustaining, they can make their own food.